There is a specific practice described in ancient texts that suggests the act of drinking water was never meant to be passive. In the historical document known as the Pistis Sophia, a text that was excluded from the standard biblical canon, there is a fascinating description of a daily routine used by Jesus. The text implies that before he consumed water, he did not just offer gratitude, he performed an activation. He spoke specific words over the liquid, and according to the account, the water would visibly change. It was said to shimmer as if light were moving through it. When his students consumed this water, they did not just feel hydrated, they reported a sudden lift in mental fog, a surge in physical vitality, and a profound sense of connection. For centuries, this was viewed as a miracle reserved for a divine figure. But modern understanding of physics and molecular biology suggests something else entirely. It suggests that this was a technique based on the natural laws of vibration and molecular structure. It proposes that water has the capacity to store information, and that specific frequencies can alter its geometry. Today, we are going to explore the exact two phrases mentioned in these ancient texts. We will examine the science behind water memory, how sound influences liquid crystals, and why speaking these words before you drink might be the missing link in your physical and spiritual well-being. This is not about magic. It is about the physics of consciousness. To understand why this technique works, we must first define what we are actually dealing with when we hold a glass of water. Most of us view water as a simple, inert substance. We see it merely as a fluid necessary for survival. But chemically and energetically, water is far more complex. It is a liquid crystal. This means that while its molecules move freely, they can arrange themselves in structured patterns, similar to the lattice structure of a solid crystal like quartz. This is where the concept of water memory comes into play. The Japanese researcher Masaru Emoto famously demonstrated that water exposed to different words, music, and intentions formed radically different crystalline structures when frozen. Water exposed to harmonious sounds and positive words formed beautiful, symmetrical, geometric patterns. Water exposed to chaotic noise or negative words formed distorted, broken structures. While his work was controversial in the strict materialist scientific community, it opened the door to a deeper conversation about the responsiveness of matter to consciousness. When you speak over water, you are not just making noise in its vicinity. You are introducing a sound wave, a frequency, into a medium that is highly conductive. Water is the most receptive substance in the physical dimension. It acts as a bridge between the energetic world and the material world. It records the environment it is in. If water can hold a geometric structure based on vibration, then drinking structured water is fundamentally different from drinking chaotic water. This brings us to the biological mechanism. Your body is approximately 70% water. On a molecular level, if you count the molecules, you are actually over 99% water. You are essentially a column of water held together by a thin chemical framework. Therefore, the quality and structure of the water you consume dictates the quality of your cellular function. When you drink water that has been processed through miles of straight pipes, treated with chemicals, and left stagnant in plastic bottles, its molecular structure is often chaotic. In bioenergetic terms, this is often referred to as dead water. It hydrates you physically, but it requires your body to use its own energy to restructure that water before it can be absorbed effectively by your cells. This is why you can drink a large amount of water and still feel bloated or thirsty. Your body is fighting to assimilate it. However, when water is activated or structured through intention and sound frequency, its molecules organize into a coherent state. This allows for rapid cellular absorption. It reduces the energy load on your body, The ancient technique we are discussing today was designed to restructure the water instantly using the power of the human voice and specific conceptual frequencies. The text of the Pistis Sophia suggests that Jesus understood this principle of vibration. The technique involves two specific phrases. These phrases were not chosen at random. They represent two fundamental poles of existence: the internal reality and the external reality. The first phrase, translated into English, is simply, "I am." In many spiritual and metaphysical traditions, "I am" is considered the ultimate statement of being. It is the declaration of existence itself.
When you say "I am," you are not just referring to your ego or your personality. You are referring to the consciousness that is observing your life. You are referencing the eternal aspect of yourself that exists beyond the physical body. From a frequency perspective, the sound of "I am" is a centering code. When you speak these words over the water, you are projecting a signal of self-awareness and sovereignty. You are telling the water that it is about to be assimilated into a conscious being. But more importantly, you are signaling to your own internal system. Remember, you are 70% water. When you vocalize "I am" with intention, the water inside your body resonates with that frequency. It creates a state of coherence in your own biofield. You are essentially tuning your instrument before you play it. You are aligning your mental state with a higher frequency of presence. The second phrase used in the text is "living water." This phrase is often misinterpreted in religious contexts as a metaphor for faith. However, if we look at it through the lens of biophysics and ancient alchemy, living water is a literal description. It describes water that has returned to its natural, energetic state. Water in nature, water that flows in mountain springs, tumbles over rocks, and is exposed to sunlight, is naturally structured. It is alive, with kinetic energy and vital information. By speaking the phrase, "living water," over your glass, you are setting an intention for the molecular structure of the liquid. You are commanding the water to return to its original, coherent blueprint. You are acknowledging that the water is not dead matter, but a life-giving force. This recognition is key. In quantum mechanics, the observer effect states that the act of observation changes the behavior of what is being observed. When you observe the water as living and speak that definition into it, you are interacting with it on a quantum level. You are collapsing a probability wave where the water shifts from a dormant state to an active state. So the full technique involves a sequence. First, "I am," which aligns the observer. Second, "living water," which transforms the object. Let us look at the mechanism of what happens when you combine these two. You are holding a glass of water. You pause. You bring your full attention to the present moment. This act alone stops the leakage of your energy into worries about the future or regrets about the past. You are gathering your focus. Then you speak. "I am." The vibration travels from your vocal cords through your hands and into the liquid. It also reverberates through your chest cavity, affecting your own internal water. You are creating a resonance bridge between you and the water in the glass. Then you speak, "living water." You are defining the substance. You are imprinting it with the code of vitality. The water, being a liquid crystal, holds this imprint. It is no longer just tap water or bottled water. It has become a carrier of your conscious intention. When you drink this activated water, the effect is described as immediate for a specific biological reason. Water does not need to be digested like food. It is absorbed into the bloodstream and cellular matrix very quickly. If that water is carrying a coherent frequency, that coherence is distributed throughout your entire system within minutes.
This explains the reports of mental fog lifting. Mental fog is often a result of dehydration or bioelectrical incoherence. Your brain is essentially an electrical machine floating in fluid. If the fluid is conductive and structured, the electrical signals fire with greater speed and clarity. If the fluid is chaotic, the signals are dampened.
By drinking water that has been programmed with the frequency of I am and living water, you are essentially upgrading the conductive medium of your brain. You are giving your nervous system a cleaner pathway to operate. This is why people report feeling connected or awake. It is not necessarily a mystical experience in the traditional sense. It is a physiological optimization that allows for higher perception. Now, let's address the practical application of this. How do you integrate this into a modern life without it becoming a burdensome ritual? The beauty of this technique lies in its simplicity. It does not require special tools. It does not require you to be in a specific location. It only requires a moment of pause. The next time you pour a glass of water, simply hold it for a moment. Do not rush to drink. Look at the water, acknowledge it. In your mind or softly out loud, say, I am. Feel what happens in your body. You might notice a subtle shift, a straightening of your spine, or a deepening of your breath. You are asserting your presence. Then say, living water. Visualize the water brightening, or simply understand that its structure is aligning. Then drink. Do not gulp it down unconsciously. Drink it with the awareness that you are consuming energy, not just liquid. Notice how it feels entering your body. Many practitioners of this method report that the water actually tastes different, smoother, softer, or slightly sweeter. This change in taste and texture is often cited as the most tangible proof that the structure has changed. This practice forces you to be mindful. Even if we were to strip away the metaphysical aspects, the act of stopping to breathe and set an intention before drinking creates a pattern interrupt in your day. Most of us go through our days on autopilot, reacting to stress, rushing from task to task. By taking 15 seconds to activate your water, you are inserting a moment of calm and control into your routine. You are training your brain to pause. However, the implications go deeper than just mindfulness. If water truly holds memory, as the evidence suggests, then we must consider what we have been inadvertently programming our water with. If you drink water while you are angry, stressed, or fearful, are you ingesting that information? If the water sits in a room where there is constant arguing or loud, chaotic noise, does it absorb that resonance? The concept of clearing the water before drinking becomes logical in this context. Speaking I am and living water acts as a reset button. It overwrites whatever chaotic noise the water may have picked up during its journey through pipes and bottling plants. It restores neutrality and adds a positive, coherent charge. This aligns with historical practices found in almost every culture. The blessing of water is universal. From the holy water in churches to the water ceremonies of indigenous tribes, humanity has always intuitively known that water is sacred and responsive. The difference here is that you are not relying on an external authority to bless the water for you. You are taking responsibility for your own energetic intake. You are recognizing that your voice and your consciousness have the power to alter your reality, starting with the very substance that sustains your life. Let's discuss the cumulative effect. One glass of activated water might give you a momentary boost of clarity. But what happens if you do this for every glass of water you drink for a week? Biology is adaptive. Your cells transform and replace themselves over time. If you consistently provide your body with structured, high-frequency water, you are slowly upgrading the biological terrain of your body. You are creating an internal environment that supports higher energy levels and clearer thinking. People who adopt this practice as a lifestyle often report a significant decrease in fatigue.
They find they need less caffeine to stay sharp. They report better sleep, likely because a hydrated, coherent brain can cycle through sleep stages more efficiently. But perhaps the most profound shift is in their emotional baseline. When your internal water is coherent, you are less reactive to external stress. You feel more grounded. You feel more yourself. This makes sense when we go back to the phrase, I am. By repeating this declaration multiple times a day, you are constantly anchoring yourself in your own identity. You are reminding yourself of your power and your presence. It is a form of affirmations that is coupled with a physical action. You are anchoring the affirmation into your biology every time you take a sip. This technique also bridges the gap between the material and the spiritual. We often separate these two areas of our lives. We have our spiritual practice, like meditation or prayer, and then we have our physical life, like eating, working, and drinking. This water activation combines them. It brings the spiritual into the physical. It turns a mundane act of survival into a moment of connection. It is important to note that this does not require you to subscribe to any specific religion or dogma. The words I am and living water are universal concepts. I am is the self. Living water is nature. You are simply connecting the self with nature. Critically, we must understand why this was considered secret or lost knowledge. In ancient times, knowledge of how to manipulate matter with sound and intention was often guarded. It was kept within mystery schools or inner circles. The idea that a common individual could have direct access to spiritual technology without an intermediary was dangerous to the established hierarchies. If you can bless your own water, if you can elevate your own frequency, you become less dependent on external structures for your well-being. Today, we are in an age of information. These archives are opening up. Science is catching up to ancient wisdom. We are realizing that things we thought were myths like halos, biofields, or miracles, quantum shifts, have explanations rooted in the laws of the universe. The Pistis Sophia may have been excluded from the Bible, but the principles it describes are available to anyone willing to test them. And that is the key word, test. Do not just accept this information intellectually. The only way to know if water memory is real, and if these words have power, is to experience it. You can try a simple experiment. Pour 2 glasses of water from the same source. Place them on a table. With 1 glass, ignore it, or even think about something stressful. With the second glass, hold it, center yourself, and speak, I am living water. Then, taste the first glass. Rinse your mouth. Then, taste the second glass. Pay attention to the texture. Pay attention to how it feels going down your throat. Most people are shocked to find that the activated water feels wetter or thinner, gliding down effortlessly, while the non-activated water feels heavier or harder to swallow. This is the difference in surface tension and molecular organization. If you can feel the difference in your mouth, imagine the difference in your cells. Imagine the difference in your blood, which is mostly water. Imagine the difference in your brain. This leads us to a broader realization. If we can affect water with our words, what else are we affecting? We are constantly speaking. We are constantly thinking. Our bodies are water. The bodies of the people around us are water. The food we eat contains water. Are we unconsciously programming our reality with stress, doubt, and fear? Or can we choose to program it with intention, clarity, and vitality? The water technique is the first step in mastering your own energetic environment. It is the training wheels for a much larger capability. If you can change the structure of water in a glass, you can change the structure of the water in your own body without even drinking. You can simply sit in meditation, say, I am, and feel your own internal waters align. But we start with the glass. We start with the physical, tangible object because it gives our mind something to focus on. It provides a ritual that anchors the new frequency.
So, tonight, or whenever you are seeing this, the invitation is open. You do not need to wait for a perfect moment. You do not need special water. Start with what you have. The process is 3 steps: connection, activation, reception. Connection. You connect with the moment and the water. Activation. You speak the codes, I am, and living water. Reception. You drink and receive the information into your biology.
As you continue this practice, you may notice that your craving for other beverages decreases. You may find that sugary sodas or excessive coffee no longer resonate with you. Your body, once accustomed to the high-frequency clear signal of activated water, will naturally reject the noise of processed drinks. This is a natural evolution of your palate and your biology. In the end, the message from the ancient texts is clear. We are not separate from the world around us.
We are in a constant dialogue with it. Our voice matters. Our intention matters. The water is listening. When Jesus used these words, he was demonstrating a mastery of the physical realm. He was showing that the material world is not solid and fixed, but fluid and responsive. He was inviting his disciples to step into that same mastery. That invitation stands today. The water in your glass is waiting for instruction. It is waiting to be told what it is. If you tell it nothing, it remains chaotic and dormant. If you tell it, I am living water, it becomes a vehicle for life force. The choice is yours with every sip you take. As we conclude this exploration, I encourage you to observe the subtle changes in your life as you apply this. Watch your energy levels in the mid-afternoon. Watch your ability to focus on complex tasks. Watch your emotional resilience. These are the markers of a hydrated, high-frequency system. We often look for complex solutions to our problems. We buy expensive supplements. We follow complicated diet plans. We search for the magic bullet. But sometimes, the most powerful solutions are the most elemental. Water, sound, consciousness. These are the building blocks of life. Mastering them is the beginning of true self-mastery. Thank you for exploring this ancient wisdom with us. If you found value in understanding the physics of intention and the history of this practice, consider how else you might apply these principles in your daily life. The universe is listening, and it responds to the frequency you embody. Drink consciously, live intentionally.